Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Cuey. H2.0. Yeah. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear.
Welcome to the Queendom, it's 2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. If you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must.
This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought.
Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me unleash the dragon.
Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, they call it news, I call it evidence. Every headline got a heartbeat. Let's talk. Culture clash, cameras roll, everybody pick a side. Joe said he done drew the line, let the silence testify. When politics meet the stage, truth start feeling optional. Anti-black get tossed around like it's conversational. Hip-hop was a refuge, now it's press affiliations. Who you stand next to show your real motivations? I don't cancel, I observe, I don't scream, I assist. But choices echo loud when the culture in distress. Headlines in my veins, shit in my chest. They rewrite the truth, I just correct the mess. Try to box my name, try to dim my role. Let the people hear me knocking at the doors of control. Headlines in my veins, sets in my chest. They rewrite the truth, I just correct the mess. Try to box my name, try to dim my role. But the people hear me knocking at the doors of control. Same old trope when a black man step ahead. Mediocre in the mouth, but they never see the thread. Every time we rise, they reduce, they dismiss. Like excellence, accidental, like we locked into this. Then said we send a play, recycled and tied. Diminish the resume when the system feels challenged. I don't need applause from a table built crooked. I read between lines, they wish they would now. Man, whole script played out, we know. Every 4 midnight silence, pacemaker flatten high. Blood on the ground, telling stories they can't hide. Mama went missing, not a nation hold breath. When elders disappear, it shake faith in what's left. FBI clocked in, ransom notes circulate. Some cases get urgency, some gotta wait. I ask the question quiet so the truth stay loud. Who gets ruler checks to see who fades in the crowd? Pray for her, where's she at? Last day. Headlines in my bed, pressure in my chest. They rewrite the truth, I just correct the mess. Try to box my name, try to dim my road, but the people hear me knocking at the doors of control. Headlines in my bed, pressure in my head. They rewrite the truth, I just correct the mess. Try to box my name, try to dim my road, but the people hear me knocking at the doors of control. We called him assassin while he helped someone breathe. Video say unarmed, but the label wouldn't leave. Smear the dead, quick to protect the badge. Power hate apologies, they allergic to facts. VP double down, that's a stain, not strength. When leadership lies, stretch the pain's link. Truth shouldn't tremble when said alarms going off. Pharisees reckless, you go too large to be taught. That's his voice, but the message cut clean. When leadership selfish, division increase. No decorum left, chaos with a suit now. Country feel brittle, but nobody mute now. This ain't left or right, this survival talk. When respect disappeared, democracy walk. Here talk hero. 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 They do jazz things in the hall. Citizens shot while they answer the call. Miramar fled, though her papers intact. Operation Surge left barred at the facto. There was no pause, just force in disguise. Advantage don't mean justice when humanity dies. Citizenship fragile, freedom of performative. I document truth, cause science is formative. Say it louder, this real. Headlines in my veins, headlines in my tone. They bury facts, I carve truth in stone. You can gaslight, spin it, try to control, but the mic stay loaded and the people know. Headlines in my veins, headlines in my tone. They bury facts, I carve truth in stone. You can gaslight, spin it, try to control, but the mic stay loaded and the people know. Yeah. This ain't not race. This is record keeping. If they won't tell it straight, I will.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden. I'm back with another video, y'all. Y'all know we got a few more things we're gonna get into and we're gonna cover today. Yes, in the political sector mostly, but we also got some celebrity tea that we're gonna bring to y'all as well. I don't know if it would be tea. It's probably coffee by this time because everybody knows what's really going on. But we'll get to that in just a moment. And so, y'all, I just want to say hello. Thank you for joining me on this live. It is 1:23 p.m. here Eastern time in the Carolinas in the United States. And child, the weather is cold. It is freezing outside. I had to go out one time to take out the trash, and that's it. I'm not going back outside today. I'm cold. I'm staying inside. I'm staying warm. There's no sun to be found anywhere. But it's still a beautiful day. It's the day that the Lord has made. And prayerfully, we all are here and alive and doing well. And so that's what's important. But yeah, y'all, let me go ahead and get into this synopsis real quick of what we'll be discussing in today's video. So we're going to be breaking down some of the biggest headlines shifting the culture and the country. First, we'll be talking about the bridge that has been burnt between Joe Biden and Nicki Minaj. We know since her first appearance over on TPUSA, he was very outspoken about that and how he felt about her current new support. So he has definitely cut ties with Nicki Minaj following these appearances at conservative summits. We will discuss this in the final straw for the Barbz. Then we'll also get into a chilling update in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, mother of Savannah Guthrie, as investigators reveal her pacemaker was disconnected during the suspected abduction. This is crazy, y'all. This is a woman that's, close to elderly in her late 60s or whatnot that was abducted. We're going to get into it and we're going to hear those reports right here today on this live. We're also going to dive into the political firestorm surrounding JD Vance, who we know has been refusing and continues to refuse to apologize for his comments that he made on the late Alex Pretti. Despite the viral video evidence that has been going around, he still doubles down and says, apologize for what? We're also going to get into Stephen A. Smith, y'all. He speaks out on why he's alarmed by the current administration's trajectory. And we hear the harrowing accounts of U.S. citizens surviving violent encounters with federal immigration agents. He has a lot to say about that, and we'll get into that on this live as well. We also are going to go ahead and talk about, U.S. citizens versus immigration agents. A series of harrowing reports have surfaced from U.S. citizens who describe surviving violent attacks by immigration agents during Operation Metro Surge. From Minneapolis to Chicago, citizens like Miramar Martinez, who was pow multiple times despite being a citizen, are coming forward now to speak on their harrowing stories. These reports describe agents smashing in windows, using flashbangs, and entering homes without warrants. Lawmakers are now calling for an expedited investigation into these brutal tactics, as the death toll of citizens in these raids continue to rise by the day. And in a bonus feature, we're going to also go ahead and get into some reports with Colin Allred versus James Tallarico. We turn to a brewing civil war within Texas politics that has gone national. Congressman Colin Allred is firing back after Senate Representative James Tallarico referred to him using the mediocre black man trope. Allred didn't mince words, blasting the comments as a tired, recycled smear. He noted that we've seen this play before, where accomplished black men are diminished the moment they challenge the status quo. Allred's defense of his record and his character is resonating deeply, as it highlights the ongoing friction regarding race and merit within the party's own ranks. So we'll be getting into a few of these audios and videos on this live, y'all. This is what we're going to be covering. The first one I'm going to get into, y'all, we'll just tap right into it. So if you have not seen, Joe Budden did sit down at Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe and had, a full interview. But there was a segment where they did have a conversation about Nicki Minaj. And we know that Joe Budden has been very vocal about how he felt about Nicki Minaj and the switch up and the changes as far as like who she's rocking with and rolling with right now. We know that Joe Budden has also said that he did have respect for Nicki Minaj and also gave her props for her contribution to the female rap game. But currently now, based off of her political stance in the the places that she's been turning up, Joe Budden had a lot to say about that and where he feels right now, not just with Nicki, but overall when it comes to artists and celebrities that are basically jumping ship when it comes to their people and siding with someone who they feel as though may can give them a favor. So let's go ahead and get into that conversation, y'all. It's not very long. This is just the clip of that part of him sitting down with Shannon Sharpe. And so I'm just going to go ahead and play the audio of that for y'all today. And let's listen to it together. Joe Budden made some really great points. And it really had me taken back because there was a point in time where some of the things that he would say I didn't necessarily agree with. But as of lately, I've been hearing a lot from Joe Budden. And I actually agree with a lot of the things and the talking points that he has. So let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. I'm going to let y'all listen to this audio. And per usual, I will meet y'all in the chat.
Nicki goes on stage with Charlie Kirk's widow.
I didn't love it.
Why?
Did you love it?
You know what, Joe? I'm going to be honest. To keep my sanity and to keep my calm, I really try to stay out of this because I see what's going on. And all it does is make me more and more upset. And when people first started getting behind President Trump, I lost some friends. But I started to think about it. I was like, it's their opinion. If that's how they feel, I'm ruining friendships and relationships because. So I let them have. That's their choice.
I understand.
But it took some growth on my part because I see, and I think I'm looking at you. You like, man, did you hear some of the things that man said about women that's like you, and you sitting up there with his.
That is the role that I believe Turning Point to play in the rewriting of history or revisionist history when they visit these schools and have all of this money just basically being pumped into a certain belief system. I won't take us there and speak to what I believe that belief system to be.
Okay.
But it's a mess. It's deeper than political views. I'm not political at all. I'm not political at all. You want to Republican, I'm not,
right.
That's not my bag. But the way people go about certain things, when you see what happened to Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis, when you see the way that these quote unquote ICE agents are behaving, when you hear how the president responds to that incident, when you hear how he responded to the Reiner murders, there's a tone that I don't think is hidden, and they're hiding these white nationalist views behind Christianity. It's in front of our faces. So and a lot of money over there.
Yes.
It's a lot of money over there. So she won't be the first or the last. Like, there will be plenty more celebrity
for sure
to take that check. Listen, when you on that side, they rocking.
Yeah.
They rocking. So tempting for people, I know, but my views and just how I was raised and my family that I come from and some to South Carolina. No.
Because you know how it works, Joe. All it takes is one. Well, you heard what Joe said. Joe said black people are doing the X, Y, and Z. Well, you heard what Shannon said, that he did say X, Y, and Z. So they'll take the voice of one and then try to make it the voice of millions.
Yeah, well, and that's a plan. I can't be complicit.
No,
and not sleep at night. So it bothers me when I see people that I know and have some sort of relationship with and have had some conversations with, and you know, I've seen people grow and become multi-million-dollar brands from black shit and black people and black consumerism. Like, so to watch you take that equity and stand over there, yeah, I can't jive with that.
Nicki got upset at me because I was on Twitter and I was going back and forth with somebody and we were talking about Nikki Haley. And so I said, that woman don't care nothing about X, Y, and Z. So we're going back and forth. We're talking Nikki Haley. They tweet something, I tweet back. Somebody tweet, you should have Nikki on the show. I said, Nikki who? Nicki Minaj thought I was taking a diss at her. I said, how you take a diss? We're talking about Nikki Haley. And I know.
I remember that.
I'm not, Joe.
I remember that.
We going back and forth. We're talking about some real heavy stuff. And then somebody said, you should have Nikki on the show. How am I supposed to know they're talking about Nicki Minaj when I just going back and forth 2 tweets about Nikki Haley?
Yeah.
She got upset.
The Barbz was on you.
I was like, bro.
The Barbz made the week hot.
I'm like, well, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about Joe Biden. Man, you should have Joe on. Joe who? Man, oh, you don't know Joe Budden. Man, I'm talking about Joe Biden. We were just talking about Joe Biden.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful with these hot.
But people look to find something to get upset about that.
Well, on the internet, we got to remember, man.
That's
2026. The internet is the internet. It's the internet. It's the
He is so right. It's definitely the internet. And we have been seeing y'all and experiencing just what the internet can do. And so this is exactly why I do try to keep these creators and influencers on my radar and share them with you guys. I always say that we have to recognize excellence and support the platforms that actually move the needle forward for our culture. So what you're hearing right now from Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp, and Joe Budden from the Joe Budden podcast is a gold standard of independent media. Shannon Sharp and Joe Budden have built more than just shows. They've built institutions that allow our stories to be told without a filter. We are standing behind anyone owning their narrative and empowering our voices. If you haven't already, please make sure you head over to their channels and subscribe. Let's keep supporting the blueprint for independent ownership, just like we're building right here or trying to build right here on Golden Queen and Mama Warriors channel. So let's get back into this video.
Internet is Bob 314. Yeah. I don't know where this guy. Oh, it's a big thing on X the other day. Some more white radical shit. X, where they were exposing the origin of certain accounts.
Yes.
And in hip hop, some of these accounts that have just been reporting hip hop and being divisive or talking about hip hop beefs, they out in India. Page started 3 months ago. It's like, yo, we just got a lot of filler bullshit around, just bots and bums, and it's just cluttered. It's cluttered now. It is.
The Aiden Ross and the Doechii, you was very outspoken about that. You like, I don't rock with old boy. I mean, you got your right to you, but for you to go as hard at her, and he's probably said some other things that I didn't necessarily agree with, but you like, I'm okay. I guess it was some former gang member. I don't know.
Glasses Malone.
Yeah, Glasses Malone.
Good old Glasses Malone.
He's like, bro,
out in
hey,
LA.
Bro, you know, hey.
Record, edit, and share your
He said that's gonna stop. You do it again, we're gonna have to come over there, or we'll make sure that don't happen again. Is what Glasses said. He said
what's his angle? What is he trying to accomplish here, Aiden Ross?
Oh, I'm not certain what his angle is. I'm not familiar with what some of these streamers and their community and how they go about things. I don't know. I can't say I'm familiar enough with him.
Yeah,
and
I'm not either.
His ecosystem to speak on it.
I think him and Castanet had a falling out about something that he had said something, and then he was doing something with Puka. Remember Puka?
I didn't like the Puka Nakua. I didn't like how that went down. I've just seen enough from him for me to say, something going on there, and it's just not for me. But more importantly than that, how he was speaking about Doechii and the manner in which he felt comfortable doing so. Also, him picking up the phone to call another black man to try to vouch for him doing that to a young black queen. Nah.
Is he the one that was talking about he could say the N-word?
You can't do that.
Wasn't he the one?
I think so. I've seen clips from him with that. So I mean I'm not with all of that.
Yeah.
And then even after black people try to check it, they say, hey, you're speaking this way. It might be cool how you was raised, but it's not cool here in this space. He continued to do so. So not till people had to make phone calls, not till he started losing money did he stop.
Right, exactly.
See, but we need that example. We need the example of, hey, you can't just get on these platforms willy-nilly saying whatever you want to say about black people and there be no recourse, no repercussion, no at least deep dive into the instance. There has to be some type of, they never respond until they lose some money.
Correct.
And it's never been the case because you've always been able to just walk all over us and keep your job.
It never happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, we needed that example.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party because we like to do something before do something.
All right, y'all. So that was just a quick little conversation, the snippet that they did have around, you know, Nicki Minaj, but also some of the things that we're seeing and that we're experiencing politically under this administration in the country, in the world. And so I love to see when we can have, let's just say, these healthy conversations, these educational conversations being held within our community, you know. And I don't mean to say that to be exclusive, because it's always inclusive over here. But there does come a time where, you know, sometimes we want to give our people in our community some props. And so I give these two men props because it's an excellent conversation. They're sitting down, they're really talking about the key points, the important elements of everything that is going on right now with such grace, such dignity, such professionalism. And this is what it's about. They're not dragging, they're not disrespecting, even if they have a disdain, right, for any of the individuals they're speaking about. It's the way that they go about talking about it. They're not, you know, making insults or anything like that. Just having a conversation, very much professional and mature. And I love to see it and I love to listen to it. But we're going to move on now, y'all. We got to get into this next video. Now, this one is a news report, so I will go ahead and put this actual video up for us to watch together. And this is a sad one, guys. This is because I'm trying to ask, you know, where are we right now in this world? We are talking about now getting into the story behind Nancy Guthrie and her disappearance. And she, you know, is of, you know, we would say maybe in her 60s or so, almost close to elder age, and just disappeared, taken, snatched. And so, you know, let's go ahead and get into this news report so we can hear a little bit more about this. But when these type of things start happening, guys, you know, we're in some deep turmoil here, because that's never okay. I just don't understand how we can just turn a blind eye to these things. Anyway, let's not do too much talking. So let's go ahead and get into it. Yes, this is a report from Fox News. We try to be fair over here and play, you know, from different news stations or whatnot. But let's just listen to this coverage right here, right now from Fox News and see what they have to say. I do have others on the docket as well, but let's start here. I'll meet y'all in the chat and we'll be right back.
But we begin with Alicia Acuna live outside the home where Nancy was taken. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Brian. And as we head into day 5 since Nancy Guthrie was last seen, law enforcement continues to say there is still no credible information to indicate that this was a targeted incident, and they have not yet given details on what led investigators to return to Nancy Guthrie's home late in the day on Wednesday. Federal and local authorities came back to the scene, which they had previously cleared, to cordon it off with police tape while they searched the property once again. Agents could be seen tracing the back of the home and also the garage. Before their arrival, the Pima County Sheriff's Department released a statement saying detectives did have follow-up work to do. Law enforcement was also seen at Savannah Guthrie's sister Annie's house. The family is believed to be gathered there. It's possible agents assisted the Guthrie children in making that video that they released last night. NBC News reports sources tell them Guthrie's pacemaker appeared to be disconnected from its monitoring app early in the morning on Sunday. The Sheriff's Department, in a statement on Tuesday, saying we have not released specific timeframes related to this device. As previously stated, investigators are working to review any available data that may assist in this investigation. The Sheriff's Department is also attempting to knock down rumors and reports they have identified a potential suspect. The department says that's not true, adding unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation, reiterating they do not have a suspect or person of interest. And last night, hundreds of people gathered for a candlelight vigil at a local church to offer prayers and support for Nancy's family and her safe return. The FBI Director Kash Patel is expected to arrive in Tucson, Arizona at some time to assist in this, or rather lead this investigation. We're also expecting a news conference later this afternoon for an update on the investigation. Back to all of you.
Okay, thank you, Alicia.
Thanks, Alicia.
Let's bring in.
All right, and I wanted to just go ahead and give y'all a brief synopsis and rundown of who Nancy Guthrie is if nobody knows, because sometimes that can be the case. But Nancy Guthrie is the 84-year-old mother. Thank you for that, Imani. Wow, she's in her 80s. This is even worse. 84-year-old mother of Today Show's co-anchor Savannah Guthrie. She is described as a woman of deep faith, mentally sharp, but physically vulnerable due to limited mobility and a heart condition that requires daily medication. She has lived in the Tucson area for over 50 years. And so here is what has happened. Saturday, January 31st, 2026, at 9:30 p.m., Nancy was last seen when her son-in-law dropped her off at her home in the affluent Catalina Foothills neighborhood of Tucson after a family dinner. On Sunday, February 1st, 2026, at 11 a.m., the alarm was raised when Nancy failed to show up for her regular church service. Family members went to her house and found it empty. They immediately called 911. On Monday, February 2nd, 2026, Sheriff Chris Nanos transitioned the case from a search and rescue to a criminal investigation, declaring her home a crime scene. He stated that Nancy could not have walked 50 yards on her own and did not leave by herself, mostly due to her age and physical condition. Now, the disturbing evidence and new details that we're seeing the reports on today is this pacemaker data. A critical detail emerged when investigators analyzed data from Nancy's pacemaker. The device, which syncs to her phone and Apple Watch, reportedly recorded a total disconnection or stop syncing around 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, suggesting that was the moment she was removed from her home. On the scene, authorities found signs of forced entry at her home. Disturbing reports and images also indicate blood found on the tiles near her front door. Items that were left behind were her car, her cell phone, her wallet, and most critically, her life-saving heart medication were all left inside the house. And then we have to talk about the ransom notes. Several media outlets, including KOLD-TV and TMZ, reported receiving unverified ransom notes via email. One note reportedly contained details about what Nancy was wearing and damage to the house to prove the sender was actually there. The current status of the case now, as of February 5th, 2026, Nancy remains missing. Savannah Guthrie and her siblings released an emotional video message on Wednesday, February 4th, acknowledging the ransom reports and telling the kidnappers, "We are ready to talk," but demanding proof of life first. President Trump has reportedly spoken with Savannah Guthrie to offer full federal resources, and the FBI is now lead on the kidnapping aspect of the investigation. So that is the full report, y'all, from beginning to now. So this is what is currently being reported on. We're going to continue this video here, but just to bring y'all up to speed, this is what happened. This is who she is. This is her age, the condition that she's in. All of this to me, guys, seems a little bit odd and weird. Now, we do know people can wander off sometimes if they have dementia and things of that nature. But with the evidence found, I think it's telling us a slightly different story. Let's get back into the reports.
Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor, retired NYPD inspector. Paul, we were just talking, saying, any chance she had a car there? Is her car missing? Do we know maybe how she ended up leaving the house?
Well, we don't know that now, and that information has not been released to my knowledge, whether or not she had a car. But that said, we know that she wasn't very ambulatory and that she couldn't walk very far. So even were she to have had a car, you have to assume she would need help to do shopping, to get herself in and out of, let's say, a doctor's office, things like that. So it does argue that there was probably a good amount of help that she was getting in and out of her house. And that certainly is going to be a pinch point that the detectives are going to be focusing on as they try to figure out who was familiar enough with the house to do what they did, stay out of sight of the cameras, remove the cameras, and potentially, as you say, maybe avoid leaving, let's say, footprints or tire tracks, because almost certainly a car was involved here. And if you can get fresh tracks off of tires, which, you know, this is not New York City where it's all asphalt. You have sort of desert dust here, so to speak, and you could probably get very good tracks. So in that case, you could try to narrow down at least the size of the car. Was it a truck? Because the vehicle, I think, here is going to be a potentially important thing if they can narrow it down.
But Paul, what about the breaking news, though, about them removing the monitoring device, the pacemaker, from the app? So you got a better timeline now that investigators can work with, because the person that removed the device is probably the person that's responsible for this. But it also tells us that they didn't want her trapped, which means that she may be alive.
Right. I mean, I would agree with that. And that certainly seems to be first blush. We don't know how much the person knew about her medical condition, et cetera. But if the reporting is accurate, what it does do is it gives you a really pretty close estimation of when she was removed from the home, leaving the phone there. My understanding is the way it works is the following. The pacemaker emits a low energy signal that connects to either your watch or the phone. And once you are out of range of that, it's not connecting anymore. The pacemaker itself doesn't have the energy to connect, let's say, to a cell tower. So once you're out of range of the phone or the watch, which are interconnected in the Apple system, then you're not going to get that signal anymore. Now, let's be clear. That doesn't mean the pacemaker stops working.
Right.
It continues to work. It just doesn't signal to the phone. And so as a result, you can't track it.
So, Paul, if I put you in that press conference today, knowing what you know and with the experience that you have, what question could you ask that would get an answer?
Well, the first thing I would ask is, what's the status on the cameras? Because they've already said that it didn't feed, the cameras that she had did not feed up to a cloud. Fair enough. But where did they feed to? Are the cameras themselves missing? I'd also like to know, what is the indications of when the cameras were taken? Can they track when the cameras were removed? Does it look like there's weathering after the cameras were removed, which would argue that maybe the cameras were removed a week ago? So who was there a week ago? I'd also like to know a lot about the digital forensic footprint. Let's assume that the perp did not, or a series of perps, because it could be more than one. History shows usually it's more than one, because you need other people, not for the extraction here, not for the horrible abduction, but to handle the logistics of secreting her someplace. Again, historic examples show you need more than one person. Somebody has to watch her. Somebody goes, gets food, and you have to communicate. At some point, they're going to want to communicate. Well, you're not going to pick up your phone and communicate right from where you are. I'm sure they have all kinds of things they're trying to work through. Why TMZ? That doesn't really pan for me. Why not the network she works for? It suggests a certain level of amateurism. And as I said, the digital forensics. Let's assume they didn't have a phone and it didn't hit the cell tower in that location. What about previously? Did she have social media? Could it be that they're aware of some of the details of her life from just watching her online? Or did Savannah Guthrie put out stuff online innocently as part of her celebrity, essentially, that they were able to glean details from? So I would be digging very hard at all of those digital footprints going backwards to see if there's a repeat person in any of this thing as a commonality, considering the idea that there may have been some surveillance, recon, planning, that kind of thing.
Paul, thank you so much. A lot happening behind the scenes. I'm sure they're interviewing everybody who works for the family, who comes in and out of, goes in and out of the house.
When you hear about the app being removed, the device removed from the nexus of people shrinks, because they had to know about it and know how to get in it. So you're dealing with this is great for investigators in checking people out.
Yeah, John Roberts just wrote me, as Paul Morrow kind of answered in real time. When you move away from your phone, it doesn't mean you shut off the pacemaker, and it doesn't mean you shut off the connection. Right. It just so happens if you separate the two, they'll disconnect.
Right.
So it might have been.
Wow, this is a very touching story. Like, it's really sad, honestly, because I just think about it, and being someone like, yes, I've worked in nursing homes or resident homes and stuff before of the elderly, up in the ages of 80 years old, and I just can't imagine, why would you want to snatch someone like that And so I don't know, we all know a lot of the details in the background when it comes to who her daughter is. But we're talking about, Savannah Guthrie, right? And she has been the main co-anchor of NBC's Today Show since like 2012. She's a woman who greets millions of Americans like every morning. She also is a legal powerhouse. So before her big break in news, she was a high-level attorney. She graduated magna cum laude from Georgetown Law and even received the highest score on the Arizona bar exam the year she took it. She also is the chief legal correspondent. Even while anchoring, she serves as the chief legal correspondent for NBC News, often breaking down complex court cases for the public. She also is a White House correspondent, or was a White House correspondent from 2008 to 2011. She was on the front lines at the White House covering the 2008 presidential election and traveling with Sarah Palin's campaign. She has interviewed everyone from Donald Trump to Barack Obama, Bill Gates, and even Beyonce. She's known for her tough but fair interviewing style, particularly during presidential town halls. I often ask, could this be or have anything to do with it? We can't be sure. We have to wait for more reports to come out. But I'm just going to go ahead and play the rest of this video, and then I want us to hear from their children, including her, but her other two children as well. They have come out now and made a statement and a plea for whoever has taken their mother or done this to please bring their mother back, as which anyone would do. And I can absolutely not imagine having to go through this. And that poor lady right there is in her 80s, y'all. Like, she's in no condition. They took her. She doesn't have her heart medication. The pacemaker is disconnected from her phone, and the device is supposed to be synced and linked to. This is a dangerous situation for this lady to be in, and I just can't wrap my mind around why anybody would want to do something like that. But anyway, let's continue with the rest of the reports here from Fox News, and then after this, we'll move on over to CNN, where they have the sit down with her children, including Savannah. Let's keep it going.
Unintentional, the disconnection doesn't mean they actually knew she had a
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. So she just was so far away from her phone.
Yeah, it would automatically
that it automatically disconnected. So that person might not know.
Yep.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
So Savannah Guthrie and her siblings addressing their mother's kidnapper directly, pleading for proof of life amid reports of a possible ransom note. Let's bring in Abel Pena, a director of Project Absentee and a retired FBI special agent with extensive experience in kidnapping. Special agent, thanks so much for joining the program. Abel, take me to the breaking news of the pacemaker and the loss of connection. What can we learn, law enforcement learn from that?
Well, simply that the pacemaker, it's not a beacon or a tracking device. Okay, that's the short answer. It doesn't help law enforcement. Now, the good news is it's like a Bluetooth device. It does emit a signal. It's for the Apple Watch that she has. But the pacemaker continues to work. It continues to run. So there's no issues there. But unfortunately, it doesn't cause any. The signal that's out there doesn't put out there. There's no issue of triangulation. They can't triangulate. They can't. It's no continuous signal that police can broadcast or anything like that. So it's good that she's got the pacemaker, it's operational, but unfortunately for law enforcement, it doesn't serve as any kind of tracking device at all.
Do you think this helps in any way of lowering or limiting the pool of people that you're now investigating?
I think that's a good question. I think what law enforcement is probably doing is they're going back. I know they went back to the house to, perhaps there was new evidence that they uncovered. They went back there, they looked at some of they may have recanvassed, re-interviewed. Maybe there were some inconsistent statements that were out there that they had to clear up. It's routine especially when new evidence surfaces, and sometimes the case takes a different direction. And so they have to go back and re-interview and just kind of nail down those statements. So that way that the timeline, they can fit the timeline in and really just determine exactly when Ms. Guthrie disappeared.
Abel, can you speak to the statement that was crafted by the family yesterday, and then finally speaking directly to what they believe, and I think the Bureau suspects maybe a hostage situation, and the words they use there?
Well, I think it's very important because the FBI, we have the behavioral analysis unit, we have the crisis negotiation unit, and those units are very important because what they do is they help the families craft the statement that they put out, and they have to be very carefully worded, not to incite any problems with the abductor. And what they're trying to do is carefully craft it where there's perhaps less emotion and more direction. Now, again, the abductor kind of has the upper hand. He's conveyed the note. From what I understand, it was a message sent to TMZ and to a local station out there. But I think it's very important that the family stay connected. What's also important is that the law enforcement is going to direct them not to take matters in their own hands, not to meet with anybody, because there are a lot of scams going on. There could be a hoax. So that's very important that the family stay connected with law enforcement, that they continue to engage them and be directed by what law enforcement tells them to do. And again, they cannot take any unilateral action to meet with anybody, to pay anybody out. Again, it's just the cooperation between law enforcement and the family at this point.
And as you know all too well, Abel, in these situations, when time is happening, it's when family rightfully start to get frustrated when they don't have all the answers. That's why it's so critical to stay in contact. And I know Savannah has been working with law enforcement for years and knows this process all too well, but it's different when you're a victim. Abel Pena, thanks so much for joining the program this morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
All right, y'all. So that was the report and some of the updates of what is going on. This is just such a sad story. I just can't imagine being in that position. Like if, that was my mother or my grandmother. And so, we're going to keep praying. We're going to pray that she will be found or she'll be brought home. At this point, it seems as though this is a ransom. And it seems as though the children are like, look, let's talk. What do you want? How much do you want? We just want our mother back. We just want our grandmother back. I understand that. And we're going to get into that video just after this quick song break. But it does kind of make me tear up a bit because I just can't imagine going through that. And just because of the likes of who you may be, how successful you may be, how much money you may make, this world we're living in. Anyway, let's take this song break, y'all, and we'll be right back. We'll hear from the children next.
check the tag, check the greed. ICE agents hunting humans just to get the fee they need. They don't care about the name, they don't care about the face. Just a bounty on the soul, trying to scrub them from the plate. Getting paid by the head, yeah, they stacking up the bread. While the families in the shadows living life in constant dread. It's a business, it's a racket, it's a cold-blooded game. They snatch a father from his daughter just to justify the name. ICE is moving through the night for the love of money. They're trading souls for federal life. For the love of money. They're apprehend anyone for pay. Doesn't matter who you are, they're gonna take you away. For that lean, green, the system's got them all that need. I need the racks, but not like that, no. I need the plaque, but keep the fat straight. YouTube views got them acting real strange. Selling out the culture for some digital change. Niggas flip the struggle, monetize the pain. While the agents in the street are washing blood with the rain. They getting paid to hunt, I'm getting paid to speak. The government is green and the sports are so weak. Check the analytics, check the borderline. The greed in the district's gonna drive us out our mind. Apprehending for a bonus, that's a soul-crushing crime. Let you have it, I'd rather have the truth. Stop trading our future and the spirits of our youth. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Don't let the algorithm change you. Money, 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 money. Your head full of talk and standing tall for the people.
All right, y'all. So let's get into the next video here. Again, this one is from CNN, and this is Savannah Guthrie. I hope I'm saying their last name right. And her other two siblings, and this is their statement, their plea for this, whoever these people are that have taken their mother to bring their mother home. And so they will be speaking out on this in this little quick video I'm gonna show you, and then we'll be moving on to the next topic. We'll be getting into JD Vance. Okay. But let's go ahead and hear from them in this emotional time.
We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She is funny, and spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day, despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief. We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know without a doubt that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy. We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day that we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you, Mom. We love you.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy. We believe and
Okay, y'all. So that was on loop. So I just went ahead and took that down. Apparently, there is a open conference, live press conference that's happening right now that they're speaking on a little bit of this. And so I just want to go ahead and play a little bit of that just for a moment, and then we'll move right along to JD Vance just to hear what some of the current updates are going on with this case. This is crazy. So let me go ahead and play a bit of that for you guys, and then we'll move right along to the next topic for the live. This is disturbing.
Sheriff is walking right through here. You can't sit up in this line here. You can't sit up in this lane right here.
Ahí, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ¿me escuchas? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Trying not to cover any of these microphones up. Good morning. I hope you've been kind of informed of the rules. That I'm going to try to get as many, if not all of you, an opportunity to ask a question. But last time we tried this, it was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice and you're going to get the same answer. So help yourself, get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up, okay? But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers, Colonel Gulliver and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, you know, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want mom back, okay? Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and get and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, this is Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, you know, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know the blood on the porch. That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects, and I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us. And like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family, just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home. And we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, which is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video, but we're not giving up on that. 2:28, Nancy's Pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, let me make sure. Now, I want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed, we know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber, we did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taken the Uber to the family residence, the daughter, for dinner. And we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house, you guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things. Forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all. Whether it's forced entry or not forced entry, that is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information. I think I am about done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and I think you know him if you haven't been here. John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special agent in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and/or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. And this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family. And while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
All right, so you want to call them or you want me to call them?
You can call them.
Okay, so the first person we're going to start with the list is going to be NBC National, Liz Prince. Right here.
Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe, if you look at this here, from 147 to 228, what you think happened there, and what particular software would have detected somebody on camera?
I don't. I know we know the software that was there. But I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not in the weeds. I know that think of your doorbell cameras. Somebody walks up. My wife's. If I walk up, she gets an alert, and it's usually something like that. A person's detected.
So to understand them above, when
does that mean that it was about a 45-minute span that the suspect or suspects would have been on the property? And then also, does this essentially mean that you cooperated with the tech companies and you can officially say that no surveillance video is available from the home?
We know that the tech company that we sent that camera off to, yes, they've said they've run out of ways to recover any video.
Next person's
going to be ABC News, Aaron Katersky.
Yeah. I'm sorry, was what 45 minutes?
Can we say it's about a 45-minute span that somebody would have been on the property then from 147 to 228?
Yeah, I think those times speak for themselves, and it is about, like I say, those are approximates. So yes. I'm sorry, who was next? Did you say?
ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much. Is there information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction?
You know, this is no different than any criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County. We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us.
All right, y'all. So I am going to go ahead and move on with the next video because I don't want this to go too long. And it is a long press conference. But if you guys want to check that out on your own accord and listen to the rest of it, we will be continuing to get updates to see what is going on throughout the rest of the day with that. But we're going to move along now. We have to get into our next topic, y'all. So we're going to be talking about in the next topic, it's going to be wrapped around JD Vance. Okay, this is the VP. And so if you guys have not known, on February 3rd, 2026, during an interview with Daily Mail, JD Vance was asked point blank period if he would apologize to Alex Pretti's family for calling Alex Pretti an assassin. And JD Vance's response was, for what? Vance grew agitated, arguing that it wouldn't be fair to federal agents who pow-pow Pretti to walk back his earlier statements. He claimed he didn't want to prejudge the investigation, despite having already prejudged Pretti as a terrorist immediately after the shooting. Now, we also want to get into shortly after Pretti was pow-powed and unalived on January 24, 2026, Vance amplified a post from Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff, that described Pretti as a would-be assassin who tried to unalive federal agents. At least 5 major news outlets, which was the BBC, the NYT, CNN, and more, reviewed the video and confirmed Pretti was holding a cell phone, not a weapon, and he was actually trying to help a woman who was being pepper sprayed by agents. While Pretti did have a legal concealed carry permit, his pow-pow was found still tucked in his waistband after he was pow-powed about 10 times. He never even pulled it out. Now, listen, we got to get into this, y'all, because we have some updates with the news reports. And JD Vance is standing 10 toes down. Now, Alex Pretti, we have to remember, was an ICU nurse at a VA hospital. He spent his days caring for veterans. In his final words, caught by a bystander on video, as he approached the agents to help a neighbor, were reported to be, "Are you okay?" Vance and other officials, like Kristi Noem, DHS secretary, ignored his background as a helper and instead labeled him a domestic terrorist and a far-left agitator, just to justify the violence in the attack against him. Vance's refusal to apologize is a part of a larger strategy. He told reporters that if the investigation finds the agents did something bad, then the consequences will flow. But he refused to acknowledge that his own public comments may have tainted the investigation or smeared a man's legacy before the facts were even out. Even as President Trump has slightly distanced himself from the assassin label that Vance has dug his heels into. This is a man who saved lives, but yet they called him a terrorist before his body was even cold. When asked to say sorry to a grieving family, the vice president said, "For what?" That really tells you everything you need to know about the value they placed on citizens' lives. Let's go ahead and get into this video and these reports, y'all, because these people stand 10 toes down in how they think and how they feel and they move and they operate. And I think that is really nasty work. But I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Now, this report is going to be coming from, excuse me, MS Now, okay? This is a news reporting station. And so we will be playing this video here, watching it together. And I will meet y'all in the comments per usual. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let me get everything set up and skip these ads real quick. Okay, here we are. Let me get this up on the screen and we will play this in just a second. Sorry, y'all, it's moving a little slow. All right, here we go.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We have never dealt with a federal agency that lies as flagrantly and as aggressively about literal life and death situations as Donald Trump and Kristi Noem's Department of Homeland Security. We, of course, as Americans, all saw this play out with the killing of Renee Good last month. You might remember Kristi Noem's false version of events issued right after the fatal shooting.
The officer was hit by the vehicle. She hit him. He went to the hospital. A doctor did treat him. You know, it's clearly established law that a vehicle driven by a person and used to harm someone is a deadly weapon. This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. And I'm asking the Department of Justice to prosecute it as domestic terrorism because it's clear that it's being coordinated. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way. We had law enforcement officers that were out there doing an enforcement action and a vehicle got stuck in the snow. And so they had called for other people to come and help them get that vehicle out. Those officers were trying to free the vehicle when the harassment started, when the protesters were out there impeding their vehicles and preventing them from leaving the scene.
Of course, we all saw the video of Renee Good getting shot, multiple videos, in fact, from multiple angles. We could see that Noem's version of events were an obvious fabrication. She was just lying about what happened. And Renee Good was not some sort of Antifa super soldier out to murder federal agents, to drive over anybody who got in her way. She was a mom driving a Honda Pilot with stuffed animals in the glove box, who used her very last words on this earth to assure the agent who would go on to kill her, quote, "I'm not mad at you." And then, of course, it didn't stop there. DHS did the exact same thing a few weeks later after Alex Pretti was executed at point blank range. As soon as it was discovered he was legally carrying a firearm, they spun up a whole narrative.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
Stephen Miller called Pretti an assassin on social media, that he wanted to murder federal agents. Vice President JD Vance retweeted those comments. An assassin who tried to murder federal agents. Again, we all saw the video. We all know what actually happened. The gun that Pretti was carrying legally, which he never held nor brandished, was removed from Pretti before he was shot, while lying prone on the ground on all fours with a gun just a few inches from his body. And Alex Pretti was not a domestic terrorist trying to inflict maximum damage and kill law enforcement. That official story, promulgated by Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller and JD Vance and the government that is our government, was a lie. They're lying to you. They're lying to us. They know it. In fact, they seem proud of it.
Have you apologized? Did you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Pretti?
For what?
For, labeling him an assassin with ill intent.
Well, again, I just described to you what I said about Alex Pretti, which is that he's a guy who showed up with ill intent to an ICE protest.
No, but if it is
He's
determined,
a guy,
if it's determined that his civil rights were violated by this FBI investigation, will you apologize to that?
So if this hypothetical leads to that hypothetical leads to another hypothetical,
it's a real case
will I
open.
do it?
It's not just Minneapolis either. Do you remember the story of Miramar Martinez? That's the teacher's assistant who was shot 5 times by Border Patrol in Chicago during their Operation Midway Blitz. Now, again, we got initial news reports in which DHS says she tried to ambush CBP agents and ram them with her car. They even arrested and charged her with assault. Now, what happened was those charges were dropped basically as soon as the case went to discovery, because in discovery, the government's narrative was going to fall completely apart. You see, the agent who shot Martinez was found to have sent a text message to other agents bragging about what he had done. Quote, "I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys." Yesterday, Martinez spoke to Congress about what she experienced.
Excuse me, sir. How old were you when you made your...
What is this for?
The mental scars will always be there as a reminder of the time my own government attempted to execute me. And when they fell, they chose to vilify me. I am Renee Good. I am Alex Pretti. I am Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. I am Keith Porter. They should all be here today. I know each of them would trade my bullet wounds and lifetime of mental distress and a heartbeat to be able to be back with their loved ones this afternoon.
Again, this woman was arrested after they shot her a bunch of times. She had to get herself to a hospital, and they came into the hospital and were impatient, the doctors there said, to get her out of there so that they could take her to detention. Now, this has been this administration's MO from the beginning. I mean, remember this one. These things sort of come, they enter the news cycle, and they go away, and then we sort of lose track of them. Remember this? We covered it on this show, that really big, flashy Chicago raid from last year. It looked like they were like cutting a war film, right? The one where they landed a Black Hawk helicopter on a residential apartment building in the South Shore neighborhood, which is just like a very random, like residential neighborhood. And at the time, the administration said that this was a targeted raid on the Tren de Aragua gang members, right? That's the gang in Venezuela that they've accused of being narco-terrorists, that they sort of use as a justification for all those people they've killed in the Caribbean, right? They said, this was their justification, the building was occupied by these violent gang member Venezuelan migrants. It was a total lie. To this day, they haven't offered any evidence to back up that claim. That was the claim they used to justify this insane raid. In reality, according to arrest records published by ProPublica today, and kudos to them, they've done great reporting, quote, agents wrote they launched the operation based on intelligence there were illegal aliens unlawfully occupying apartments. They said they focused their search on units that were not legally rented or leased at the time. In other words, there was a tip or allegation that some people were squatting in an apartment building. No mention at all of Tren de Aragua. Do you think squatters need a U.S. military helicopter and people rappelling off the sides, and for kids to be pulled out of the building and put in zip ties, and for the residents of the building, American and immigrant, to be separated by race and put into trucks? That's not the only DHS narrative that completely fell apart this week, because back in January, it was after the shooting of Renee Good, but before the shooting of Alex Pretti, a federal agent shot someone else, a person in the leg in Minneapolis. And we covered it here on the show as it unfolded. And as is often the case with these events, there's very little information in the beginning. And most news outlets are careful, right? Don't want to get it wrong, want to make sure we can confirm what we have. DHS rushes out a story, just like Alex Pretti and Renee Good. So here's what DHS said at the time. During an attempt to arrest a suspect, quote, 2 subjects came out of a nearby apartment and attacked the law enforcement officer with a snow shovel and broom handle. Fearing for his life and safety as he was being ambushed by 3 individuals, the officer fired a defensive shot to defend his life. Now, that does sound, in that telling, like a totally justified use of force. Witnesses on the scene have repeatedly said that was a lie. In fact, what they said was the agent shot at them through their front door. Can you shoot at someone defensively through a closed front door? New reporting from the Star Tribune, again, who's been doing great reporting, now backs him up. The Star Tribune reviewed photos, which have now been shown in court, of what appears to be a bullet hole. Quote, the hole appears several inches to the right of the door hinge. Pictures from inside the home indicate the bullet fragment ultimately hit a bedroom wall down the hall, suggesting it traveled between a mattress and a portable crib in a room where several children sleep. Federal judge overseeing that case has ordered ICE to release the 2 Venezuelans who were in detention. And that bullet, as you see there, was later recovered by Minnesota law enforcement. So it sure doesn't sound like the officer in question shot at the man in self-defense while they were beating him with a shovel and a broom, if he shot through the front door of the house. DHS declined to comment to the Star Tribune regarding this new evidence. I could go longer. I mean, we are keeping this to the most salient cases. There's more we had to leave on the cutting room floor. And in the macro sense, it is clear this administration knows they are losing the PR battle in Minnesota. Today, Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, announced he's withdrawing 700 immigration agents from the state, which will leave more than 2,000 agents on the ground there. Just to keep in mind, there's normally about 150 total. So we're still talking order of magnitude larger. Trump himself acknowledged maybe he needs a new public approach.
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them.
Oh, hard criminals like Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old boy in the Spider-Man backpack, or the poet, mother of 3, or the VA ICU nurse. Make no mistake, they are not changing course.
All right, y'all. So that was just a quick report and an update from MX Now and Chris Hayes as to, the responses that we've seen following these terrible unalivings of human beings, number one, but also legal citizens of this country. But let them tell it. These people are dangerous criminals. Anyway, y'all, we got to move right along. So we're going to go ahead and take another quick song break. And then we're going to get into the next video, which is going to be actually now three people that have been attacked and assaulted at the hands of ICE agents. And they will tell their stories and talk about their PTSD and traumas that they are now living with at the hands of these assaults. They also are legal citizens being here in this country. We'll get into that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and play this song and we'll be right back.
In every language, the boot is the same on any soil. They draw lines on maps, then act surprised when hearts refuse to be divided. This isn't a new story. It's just our turn to write the ending.
Same black Vance from Santiago up to Syria. Aim algorithms of hate creating mass hysteria. It's a global franchise, the oppression is syndicated. Borders drawn in boardrooms by men who've never waited in the line for bread or fled a home that's burning bright. They selling fear as virtue in the pale moonlight. Dehumanize the target, make them stats on a spreadsheet, so you don't see the soul when they dragged out in the streets. The neo-colonial, the digital plantation, use the laws like whips to break the back of every nation. This is ice cold hearted. The tactic is corporate, the hatred is faceless. A global alliance, they're leaving empty spaces, but the people united will never be vanquished. Cold hearted, history's watching from all of our places. We Victor of Columbus and the mining corporations. Hear the echoes of old empires and the peacekeeping stations. From the Congo to the Amazon, the scars are still pigmented. They carved the planet up and wonder why the world's fragmented. Drew a line through Africa, a line through Palestine. Now they build a concrete wall and say the side ain't thine. It's the same old story, profit over people. The steeple on the church is just as tall as the evil. They want our rhythm, our culture, our spice and our labor, but want us silent and grateful when we ask to be a neighbor. This is ISIS cold hearted. The tactic is corporate, the hatred is faceless. A global empire, they're leaving empty spaces. The people united will never be vanquished. History's watching from all of the places. We know the system and all of its faces. The people united will never be vanquished. What is a home? Is it the dirt beneath your feet? Or the rhythm of a heart that makes your own heart beat? Sacred heartbeat. They can take the soil, they can legislate the soul, but humanity's a fire that they never can control. A change is coming, oh, the whole world is rumbling. So we're cold hearted. The hatred is faceless. So now the question comes to you. When the knock comes for your neighbor, what will your hands do? The time for quiet anger is over. The time for action is now. Look to your brother, your sister. Their struggle is yours, their future is yours. From the streets of Fayetteville to the heart of the world, our pulse beats as one drum. So stand down. I'm supposed to be judged.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
We turn now to some of the powerful voices from Tuesday's hearing on Capitol Hill on U.S. citizens who've experienced violent encounters with federal immigration agents deployed in cities across the U.S. 3 U.S. citizens and the brothers of Renee Good shared harrowing testimony of their experiences as congressional Democrats promised accountability. Not a single Republican lawmaker showed up to the hearing. Renee Good's brothers, Brent and Luke Ganger, both testified at the hearing, with Brent Ganger reading from his eulogy to his sister, saying Good was, quote, unapologetically hopeful. This is part of Luke's testimony at Tuesday's hearing.
My name is Luke Ganger, and I'm here with my brother, Brent. Renee Good is our sister. We're here on behalf of Nae's big family and those who loved her. We're here to ask for your help. I was talking to my 4-year-old last week when she noticed I was not doing well. I had to come here today and talk to some important people. She knows that her aunt died and that somebody caused it to happen. She told me that there are no bad people and that everyone makes mistakes. She has Nae's spirit. The deep distress our family feels because of Nae's loss is in such a violent and unnecessary way is complicated by feelings of disbelief, distress, and desperation for change. In the last few weeks, our family took some consolation, thinking that perhaps Nae's death would bring about change in our country, and it has not. The completely surreal scenes taking place on the streets of Minneapolis are beyond explanation. This is not just a bad day or a rough week or isolated incidents. These encounters with federal agents are changing the community and changing many lives, including ours, forever.
That was Renee Good's brother, Luke Anger, testifying on Capitol Hill, followed by 30-year-old Marimara Martinez from Chicago. In her testimony, she described her near-fatal encounter with Border Patrol agents October 4th. She was on her way to church to drop off clothes for donation when she spotted Border Patrol vehicle in her neighborhood. She says she followed them for about 15 minutes, honking her horn, shouting La Migra to warn her neighbors. That's essentially shouting ICE. Then when she was to the left of their vehicle, an agent swerved into her lane, sideswiping her vehicle. This is some of her testimony about what happened next.
I drove forward and went around the Border Patrol agents, who jumped out of his car and pointed his gun at me. I moved to the far left lane, striking the curb on the far left side of Kedzie. The next thing I knew, I felt a burning sensation in my arms, legs, and that I had been shot by pepper balls, which I also seen these agents fire at people in our community. As I continued to drive past the Border Patrol agents, I could hear my back passenger window shatter, and I felt bullets continue to pierce my body. As I attempted to drive to a safe location, I began to feel lightheaded. I looked down and I noticed blood gushing out of my arms and legs, and I realized I'd been shot multiple times. At the hospital, I remember seeing multiple agents standing around, watching me be treated for my wounds. My arms, legs, and chest were all wrapped in bandages. I had 7 bullet holes in my body. I remember the agents rushing the nurses to finish up so they could take me with them. The agents took me from the second hospital to the federal detention center in downtown Chicago. I had never even had a parking ticket before, and now I was sitting in federal detention center just for being the victim in a minor traffic accident. Things were surreal. The news in the jail that evening had my story and was being called a domestic terrorist. I am in significant pain as I attempt to do things I was easily able to do before October 4. I attend weekly physical therapy sessions to work on these issues and hope one day I can move in the same way I was able to move prior to October 4. I know that what happened to me in the matter of seconds on October 4 will unfortunately be with me for a lifetime. And perhaps even worse, the mental scars will always be there as a reminder of the time my own government attempted to execute me, and when they fell, they chose to vilify me. I am Renee Good. I am Alex Pretti. I am Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. I am Keith Porter. They should all be here today. I know each of them would trade my bullet wounds and lifetime of mental distress and a heartbeat to be able to be back with their loved ones this afternoon. And we must also remember the countless other souls who lost their lives at the hands of these entrusted with authority.
That's Marimar Martinez, shot by Border Patrol agent Charles Exum in Chicago on October 4th. After he shot her, the agent sent text messages bragging, quote, "I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys," he said. The charges against Martinez were dropped. The next speaker was Daniel Rascon from San Bernardino, California. He described an encounter with mass federal immigration agents in August.
I am Daniel Rascon, a 23-year-old U.S. citizen from SoCal. I'm the eldest of 3 brothers and father to a nearly 3-week-old baby girl. I operate a forklift for work and currently have my CDLA license and dental assisting certification. I'm no celebrity, but I am loved by many in my community, and there are many that I love and I'm thankful for. The morning of August 16th, 2025 would quickly become unforgettable, especially because my future father-in-law, Francisco Longoria, wanted me to run an errand with him and his son, Jonathan, when all I really wanted to do was just sleep in. We took Jonathan's truck with him sitting in the passenger seat, Francisco driving, and me sitting behind Francisco when we were just 2 minutes away from home. At 8:49 a.m., 2 unmarked trucks suddenly boxed in our car. I had been looking down at my phone, but when our car abruptly stopped, I looked up thinking we must be at a red light or in a traffic jam. But to my surprise, I was instead met with four men in face masks, sunglasses, and baseball caps, and guns drawn, pointing straight at us, walking towards our car. These 4 men then tried forcing their way into our car by pulling on the handles, pounding on the windows and yelling at us to roll down the windows, all while failing to answer our repeated requests for their identification and what they wanted. I did not know who these men were. They were refusing to identify themselves, and the only thing I felt I could do, I could control, was capturing this event by recording it on my cell phone. There were 2 men on either side of the car, and they were not wearing any uniform. I could not tell who these men surrounding our car with guns were. We again asked them to show identification and why they were approaching us with so much aggression. Only seconds after they started pounding on the windows, one of the men broke the driver's side window, punched Francisco in the face, and began reaching into the car. At the same time, a man on the other side of the car broke the passenger window where Jonathan was sitting and began reaching into the vehicle. They shattered the windows, and in that moment, the whole world felt like it was the size of the inside of our pickup. And we were sitting in harm's way with nothing to do but record the horrifying experience. Terrified for our lives, Francisco bravely drove straight through the only open pathway down the street, hoping to be driving towards safety, when we were instead met with gunfire. After we had passed the men, one of the 4 men attempted to murder us after we passed by, as he fired and made contact with the passenger side of our car multiple times. I will never forget the fear and having to quickly duck my head as the shots were fired at the car. Any one of those bullets could have killed me or 2 people that I love.
2 weeks later, Daniel Rascon's home was raided at 4 a.m. Agents wearing night vision goggles stormed into his house, training the lasers from their assault rifles onto everyone in Daniel's family, including his pregnant fiancée. His father-in-law, Francisco, who had been driving, was then taken into custody and charged with assaulting an officer. He stayed in jail for 3 months before he was released. A federal judge later dropped the charges against him, believing he had feared for his life. Finally, we turn to the excerpt of Alia Rahman's testimony. She was violently dragged out of her car by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis this January as she was on her way to a medical appointment.
My name is Alia Rahman, and I'm a resident of South Minneapolis. I'm a Bangladeshi American, born in northern Wisconsin, and I'm a disabled person with autism and a traumatic brain injury. Not all autistic brains do this, but mine fixates on sounds, numbers, and patterns. And while what the world saw happen to me exactly 3 weeks ago today on video was a terrible violation, it is still nothing compared to the horrific practices I saw inside the Whipple Center. So I am here today with a duty to the people who have not had the privilege of coming home. And I offer this data because these practices must end now. On January 13th, on the way to my 39th appointment at Hennepin County's Traumatic Brain Injury Center, I encountered a traffic jam caused by ICE vehicles and no signs indicating how to get around it. I had not wanted to pull into a blocked, chaotic intersection, but verbally agreed to do so and rolled down my window after an agent yelled, "Move, I will break your effing window." His first instruction. Agents on all sides of my vehicle yelled conflicting threats and instructions that I could not process while watching for pedestrians. Then the glass of the passenger side window flew across my face. I yelled, "I'm disabled," at the hands grabbing at me, and an agent said, "Too late." I felt immersed in a pattern, and I thought of Genoa Donald, an autistic Black man killed by police during a traffic stop in 2021. I remembered Mr. Sliberio Gonzalez, who was killed by ICE in his vehicle last year. An agent pulled a large combat knife in front of my face, which I thought was for cutting me, and later learned was used to cut off my seatbelt. Shooting pain went through my head, neck, and wrists when I hit the ground face first and people leaned on my back. I felt the pattern, and I thought of Mr. George Floyd, who was killed 4 blocks away. I was carried face down through the street by my cuffed arms and legs while yelling that I had a brain injury and was disabled. I now cannot lift my arms normally. I was never asked for ID, never told I was under arrest, never read my rights, and never charged with a crime.
A part of the testimony of Alia Rahman at Tuesday's congressional hearing on President Trump's militarized crackdown on immigration. No Republican attended that hearing. We'll hear more from Alia Rahman next week on Democracy Now! On Tuesday, Vice President JD Vance was interviewed by the Daily Mail.
You apologized? Did you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Pretti?
For what?
For, labeling him an assassin with ill intent.
Well, again, I just described to you what I said about Alex Pretti, which is that he's a guy who showed up with ill intent to an ICE protest.
No, but if it is
he's
determined,
a guy,
if it's determined that his civil rights were violated by this FBI investigation, will you apologize to that?
So if this hypothetical leads to that hypothetical leads to another hypothetical,
it's a real case.
Will I do a thing?
Vice President JD Vance. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.
All right, y'all. So I know that was a bit triggering to watch. And I know a lot of us, we may be in the same place right now, like in our feelings and emotions, when it comes to a lot of these things that we're seeing playing out. And the stories and stuff that we're sharing with one another and the experiences we're sharing with one another, they're so valid. Just as you were saying, Imani, you say you spoke to someone who frequently travels to the United States for business and said that she's no longer renewing her visas. She doesn't want to come back here. People don't want to come back here to this country. Who would want to come at these risks, knowing that this could be possibly something that could happen to them? And then the ones of us that do live here, we don't care for this. We don't like seeing this. We don't want it to be anybody. We don't want it to be us. We don't want it to be anybody who's traveling here, who's visiting here. We're not happy with this. People who are standing on the right side of history is shameful to watch. It's shameful and embarrassing to watch. It makes me embarrassed to be someone who says I'm here as a citizen of the United States. It makes me embarrassed to be someone who says, oh, I'm an American. I don't want to tell anybody that. It's where I happen to be born and reside. But I'm not proud of this country. And I do know the history of this country as well, how it all started, right? I'm not proud of that either. And I'm not proud of how things are happening now and how people are being treated in this country. I don't like it, not one bit. And I wish there was more that we could do to change it, to make a difference. But outside of what all I know I can do is just bring this stuff to the forefront, bring it to light, talk about it, have better understanding and education about what is going on. That is what I feel like all I really can do right now, and I wish that I could do more. And prayer, of course, we pray, to ask God to step into a lot of this, to turn it around and fix it, and make it better, because it's not right. The things that we're seeing happening, it's not humane. It is not godly. This is not what God intended. In my personal opinion, again, respectfully, that's just what my personal spiritual and religious beliefs are. And I know everybody's may be different, and that's very much fine. But watching this stuff, it's just, it's draining. It is draining, y'all. But we gotta, we gotta stay on top of it. We gotta know what's going on so we can know how to stay safe, so we can know how to combat it, and then the best way that we can find fit to do so. And so I do believe, talking about these reports, I come from it from a standpoint of that, not to purposely trigger anyone or not to purposely upset or depress anyone. I know it's depressing enough. Trust me, I do, because I see it. I see it every day on the news stations. I see it sometimes even with my own two eyes in the streets, in the cities, in the communities that I go out and bear witness to some of these things happening. I hear the phone calls, right, from family members and friends that live in other states and cities and tell me what's happening there. And we have these conversations, we talk about it, we download this information, and we have to ask ourselves, what side of history are we going to decide to stand on? Are we going to be okay with this? Are we going to think that any of this is okay? Is this America? No. No. Is this what America should be? No. Do we know America did not even start out in the best of terms in the beginning? Yeah, historically, we know that. But as things progress, it starts to get a little bit better. It starts to smooth out. It starts to get a little bit more manageable, livable, comfortable for people, human people, despite their race, their background, their ethnicity, whatever. And now we are getting to a place where all of that is being stripped. It's being stripped away, and there's so much hate, and there's so much judgment, and there's so much violence and abuse. And I'm telling you, I don't know, I can't speak for other people, but I can only speak for myself. It's very hard to watch. And you know what? I don't stand or sit anywhere in a chair on a podium where I feel as though I'm safe, and that tomorrow it may not be me and my family. And I think we have to remember that too. But I ain't scolding, and I ain't, coming down on nobody or anything like that. I'm just speaking for myself. I'm just saying, I think about that. I don't sit in no place of luxury. I don't sit in no place of being detached from it, because we don't know. We just don't know. We never know. It might be today or tomorrow. Someone could come knocking at my door, at our door, hemming me and my mother and my son up, throwing us to the ground, throwing us in the back of a truck, carrying us off to Lord knows where, if we even get there alive. We can't be sure. We don't take it for granted. No one should be treated like this. None of these type of things should be happening. But anyway, y'all, we got to move right along, because I know we're getting to that time point, y'all. So anyway, conversations we had before where we've had some issues and some things to question about, where Stephen A. Smith stood and some of the comments and things that he says sometimes. But we try to be fair over here and try our best not to be biased. The Lord knows it's hard. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this next video, because Stephen A. Smith was speaking out about some things as far as what we are bearing witness to here within our government, this administration, the political sector. And, it seems as though he was speaking from his heart, loudly as always, but, speaking from his heart and speaking from a place of where I understand what you're saying. I can rock with you on that. I can rock with you on some things I can't. So we have to be fair about that. It's always got to be that balance, right? So let's go ahead and get into this next video, y'all. So this is Stephen A. Smith, and he had a few things to say. Hold on, let me get this set up. Like I said, about this administration, and he has basically why he is alarmed by Donald Trump's actions. This is what he has to see. So I'm only going to play the beginning part of the audio here or his live. He also did sit down and have a great conversation, as we seen earlier. We heard about the discussions and the tensions in Texas with Colin Allred. He did sit down and have an interview with Colin Allred, but also Bill Maher as well. And that's in the later part of his podcast. But in the beginning, he does his synopsis and his intro, and he has some really, good things that he was actually saying about how he feels about this administration and how things are rolling out. So I just wanted to go ahead and play that for y'all so we can listen to that, because I think it is fair to give everybody a fair shot and a fair chance. We may not always be on the same page, but every now and then, we may come to our senses, or we can see with our eyes and feel with our hearts what exactly is happening and going on, and realize that it's not right. And we can use our voices to speak up against it and about it, and to bring it to awareness. And so he did do that on this podcast episode. And so I just wanted to go ahead and play a little bit of that for y'all. We got to be, fair with one another. So that's what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. We're going to play, again, like I said, we'll do the audio only for this one. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to play it. Meet y'all in the chat per usual.
By the name of James Tallarico, in terms of some things that he believes that were said by Tallarico, and how offensive he found those statements to be, and as a result, him encouraging folks to pretty much throw all their support behind Representative Jasmine Crockett, an individual that he gave up his race for the Senate for, in favor of positioning her to step forward and ultimately run for the Texas Senate seat herself. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. Real Times, the one and only Bill Maher from Real Time with Bill Maher, is HBO, is coming on the show a little bit later on as well. I sit here knowing that I have to interview those people, and I got to confess to you all that I got something else on my mind, because I'm very, very alarmed at what I've been seeing President Donald Trump do. And before I get into it, I want to remind y'all that when it comes to my political beliefs and what have you, I'm going to remind you I'm a registered independent who obviously leans left most times. I'm a fiscal conservative, meaning that, when it comes to taxes and things of that nature, I'm definitely big on the conservatives with that. When it comes to practically everything else, for the most part, I'm pretty liberal. I've had call me the most conservative liberal they've ever seen. Or in the case of Patrick Bet-David, likes to joke that I'm the most conservative Democrat he's ever known, because I don't bullshit. And if I sat up there and I uttered a curse word in the first 3 minutes of the show, because I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted for what I'm seeing. And I'm not a person that sits idly by and look at the Democratic Party and think their stuff don't stink. I don't buy somebody telling me it's perfume when they pass gas. And I'm not going to buy it from the Republican Party either. But when I see things that are incredibly alarming, particularly when it comes from this particular president, I get very, very concerned, because I think he's a complete aberration. He's a complete anomaly. I don't think that Senator Marco Rubio would be the kind of president that he is in terms of his behavior. I don't think that George W. Bush was that way. I don't think that Ronald Reagan was that way. I don't think that H.W. was that way. I don't think any Republican would be the way this man has been. So I don't even view him as a Republican or a member of the GOP. I just think that the time has come where we're talking about being alarmed. It's not just reserved for folks on the left. It's reserved for some of the stuff that we're seeing right now. Let's take into consideration what Trump recently made news for, the latest thing that he's made news for, when he was calling for the GOP to nationalize elections. He not only said it in front of their face, he went on a Dan Bongino show and he uttered those things. Listen to what he's saying, the president of the United States. Listen to this.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting and at least many, 15 places, the Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win.
Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, naturally, we needed somebody significantly more coherent and direct and clear to really clarify for us exactly what the president meant when he talks about nationalizing voting. Listen to her.
When you're cooking up a spread, you can't forget the goat.
What does President Trump mean when he says Republicans ought to nationalize voting? What does that look like in practice?
What the president was referring to is the SAVE Act, which is a huge common sense piece of legislation that Republicans have supported, that President Trump is committed to signing into law during his term. And he spoke with the speaker directly about that yesterday, about the need to get that bill on the floor for a vote, because it provides very common sense measures for voting in our country, such as voter ID. I don't think any rational person who's being honest with themselves would disagree with the idea of requiring citizens of this country to present an ID before casting a ballot in a federal election, or frankly, in any election. And that's something the president wants to see happen. So that's what he was referring to.
It would be a lot easier to stomach if it was just that simple. If you didn't come across as a president and as a party that was fixated on curbing one's individual to vote in this country. Because when you take into account the fact that you've been prioritizing immigration issues and highlighting the amount of illegal migrants that have entered this country, the belief is very, very simple. If you're a United States citizen, here legally, whether you were born or here legally, chances are you're going to vote for Republicans. That's what they're saying. And if you're anybody else, chances are, if you find a way to get to the polls or what have you, you know what, you're going to vote Democrat. And you believe this is a voting bloc that the Democratic Party wants to line up. That's your belief. Now, me being a centrist, me being a moderate, I'm the first to say to you, hey, you know something? I usually have to show voter ID for an abundance of other things. What's the big deal with showing it for voting? And I get that part. But then I remember who we're dealing with here and who we're talking about. And we're not just talking about a president that's fixated on voting. We're talking about a president that's fixating on reminding the world that he believes he was robbed of an election in 2020. Even though he's reclaimed the White House, winning the popular vote and the Electoral College vote in 2024. Even though he's been in office for over a year. Even though he's traveled the world over. From Israel to being in Alaska with Vladimir Putin, to traveling over to the Middle East, whether it's Saudi Arabia or Qatar. And he's had to deal. He's attended G20 summits and all of this other stuff. No matter what, the fact that he's the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, the leader of the free world, that nobody is disputing at this particular moment in time. There's nobody that's saying that the 2024 election was fraudulent. Even though that's over and done with, this man seems more interested in validating his proclamations that he was robbed of the election in 2020 than he is of being president right now. And when you see that kind of stuff going on, and then you take into account some of the other things that he's had going on over the last few weeks, it becomes increasingly alarming. Take, for example, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and how she arranged reportedly for FBI agents who searched the Fulton County Elections and Operations Hub in Georgia last week to have a phone call with President Trump, according to multiple sources familiar with the situation. Fulton County officials say FBI agents removed about 700 boxes containing ballots and other materials associated with the 2020 election after obtaining a search warrant approved by a federal magistrate judge. Investigators are going ballot by ballot, searching for any irregularities, sources said. This is considered unusual. A president and a director for national intelligence speaking to line agents from the FBI about an ongoing criminal investigation? What the hell does that have to do with what's going on in the world today? Nevertheless, it's what he's doing. And Tulsi Gabbard, what did she say? He was just thanking them for their service. He was just thanking them for their hard work. I put him on the phone with them for a quick minute. Really? That's what we're talking about here. It's that kind of stuff that gets you very, very alarmed. Why does it get you very, very alarmed, ladies and gentlemen? Or why should it get you very, very alarmed? Because right now, at this particular moment in time, as we sit here contemplating so many things that's going on, I watched the other day Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat, New York City, minority leader in the Senate, speaking about the SAFE Act and how disconcerting it was for him, and even going as far as to bring up Jim Crow 2.0, which, by the way, I want to state for the record, I think it was a mistake. It's a mistake to engage in that kind of hyperbole. I'm going to explain to you why in a minute, but first, I want you to hear what Senator Schumer had to say when it came to Jim Crow Laws 2.0. Listen to his statement and understand why it should be alarming and why I should catch your eye and make sure it's something that we all need to address right now. Listen to Senator Schumer.
When you're cooking up a spread, you can't forget the GOAT.
The perfect blend of flavor with the right amount of heat. Frank's Red Hot's the GOAT, it can't be beat.
Make every dish the great.
What do you say to Mike Lee's argument that the Senate rules allow the majority to require the minority to stage a talking filibuster to stop the SAVE Act?
We've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done very quickly. The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.
Don't like that at all. Now, when I tell you that I'm not down for Democrats, I'm talking about the extreme left. I'm not talking about conventional leftists, like the Schumers of the world, the Bill Clintons of the world, and others. I'm down for that. I'm not down for the modern day extreme leftist Democrats any more than I'm down for MAGA right, because I'm not down for them either. But we don't need to be using that kind of verbiage. We don't need to be using that kind of language. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, that plays right into Trump's hands. It plays right into his hands. When you bring it up the SAFE Act, for example, let's understand what that is. Current voter registration requires only signing a sworn statement under penalty of perjury affirming citizenship. The SAVE Act would eliminate that option for federal elections. Why is this relevant? Because the Brennan Center for Justice estimates over 21 million eligible U.S. citizens lack ready access to the documentary proof required under the SAVE Act. That includes married individuals who changed their names, young voters registering for the first time, elderly voters born before hospital birth certificates became standard, people of color, statistically less likely to have passports, by the way. This is according to the research that I'm reading, along with low-income individuals unable to afford passport fees or birth certificate cost. Folks on the right don't want to hear that. Folks on the left say, damn that. You should hear it. And what they're talking about and what they're alluding to is the 21 million people that it would be more difficult to provide ready access so that they could be able to vote. You're trumping them, you don't care about that. You're Trump, you have a different agenda. My point is, if you're Chuck Schumer, why engage in the hyperbole? Why not let Trump dig his own grave, proverbially speaking, or figuratively speaking? Why not do that? This is a president that was recently on the record talking about how white folks have been treated cruelly. These are the kind of things that he was saying. And when you look at it from that standpoint, you got to wonder what his agenda is. He's going out of his way to appease to his base and to appease to the affluent amongst us, particularly those who voted for him, like almost damn everybody else, because I'm not seeing a lot of things that he's doing that's benefiting the rest of us. I know people are talking about the tariffs. I know people are talking about the economy that hasn't crashed. I know we're looking at the fact that a recession hasn't necessarily kicked in, that inflation isn't as bad as we thought it was going to be, that the border has been patrolled to some degree, and we no longer have open borders. And as a result, you can't just walk in here, not to mention the fact that hundreds of thousands of migrants here illegally have been deported. so things seem a bit safer or whatever. But my question to you would be, for whom? Because of the state of affairs that's existing right now, with the verbiage that's coming out of his mouth, with the actions that he's exercising to follow up on those things, with the stuff that he's trying to push, where he's got Republicans behind him, pushing for nationalized voting. Whether you agree or disagree with it, I'm talking about his agenda. I'm not talking about the benefits or the hindrances. I'm not talking about the negatives and the positives. I'm talking about him. What's the agenda? You got a midterm coming up. You got him worried about the GOP losing the House and the Senate. And how if that's compromised in any way, that compromises his ability to do what he wants to do up until he departs from office. We're seeing Democrats right now fighting with him, knowing that your leverage is limited, because no matter how much you fight with him to create modifications within ICE, to make sure that officers have to wear masks, to make sure that they have warrants before entering people's homes, along with other things, these stipulations that you're pushing for. Even though you've just averted a shutdown, another shutdown, you still on the verge of jeopardizing all that the Department of Homeland Security will have available to them to take care of TSAs, Secret Service, and other components. But you can't touch ICE. You can't talk. You can't talk about, border protection. You can't touch them because the big beautiful bill that went into law ensured that they're going to be financed through 2029. So they're going to still get their money. Maybe not TSA, maybe not Secret Service, maybe not stuff like that. But ICE and border protection, they're going to get their money through 2029. So what leverage do the Democrats really, really have? The answer is not much.
When you're cooking up a spread, you can't forget the GOAT.
But what are they doing? They're trying to win an election, so it's important for them to put up a fight. So you encourage and incentivize those who are inclined to vote for you to do just that. As the midterm elections come up, it makes total sense. But if you're Senator Schumer, respectfully, sir, avoid the hyperbole. Avoid Jim Crow 2.0. Because ultimately what that's going to lead is to an abundance of American citizens looking at it and hearkening back to real time when Jim Crow laws were in full effect. And it's going to make them say, nah, that's not the case in the year 2026. Most importantly, those who are centrists, those who are independents, those who are moderates, what are they going to do? They're going to say, yes, that definitely is hyperbolic. This is another exaggeration. So guess what? You know better than him. Don't do that. You're playing right into his hands. And doing something like that could be to your detriment. Instead, I like to suggest you focus on a couple of other things.
All right, y'all. So I can see, we've been going back and forth and stuff in the comments, and y'all see, I guess this is what it's about, right? Because sometimes, when it comes to us being human beings and people, we may not always make the best commentary. We may not always stand on the right side of what needs to be talked about and what needs to be addressed and things of that nature. But when I watched and I listened to this conversation coming from Stephen, on his podcast, on this episode, I was just like, wow, he's really on it today, and there are days when he's on it. And it's like, I agree with him. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate his commentary. And he has such a big platform. You know what I'm saying? He has a big platform. He's very well known. A lot of people like him. They really do. And I think that's the importance of knowing, when you have these type of platforms, how much power you can have, just with your voice and the things that you say and the things that you stand for and the things that you promote and the things that you educate and talk about. That's your duty, But yeah, he's talking it. He's talking it today, y'all. And then he has, like I said, the interview a little bit later on in the podcast, Colin Allred, which, I also have the video that I'm going to show y'all with Colin Allred, but that he's having a conversation with Roland Martin. So I wanted to show that one because I also really like Roland Martin's platform as well, and how, when he talks with people as well, especially when it comes to, y'all, Black issues and stuff like that, Black community, Black power, Black strength, Black, equity, all of the things, Black community. Not all the way, you know what I'm saying, to say that that's all we talk about and that's all we care about. But if you're Black, and those things are important to you, and I think it's great to have platforms that can have these hard conversations in a way that's not difficult, and actually be around other like-minded people that can have these conversations and understand where exactly we're coming from when we talk about the things we talk about, and we try to bring to the forefront the importance of the things that we need to talk about. So, anyway, so I was going to show y'all that little quick clip with Roland Martin speaking with Colin Allred, but Stephen A. Smith also spoke with Colin Allred as well when it came to that same talking point. But yeah, he's on it today. Some days he's really on it, and some days, like Imani said, if I go back up here, it's just sometimes it's like we don't like to see that from our people. Like, you are entitled to your opinion, but it really is hurtful and harmful. Like when we see you out here, like she said, shucking and jiving. You know what I mean? Like Django, like Steven from Django, shucking and jiving, doing the thing, all of those things. I think Tisa used to say that. But anyway, that is harmful and it's hurtful because we want to support, we want to uplift you, your platform, everything it is that you're doing. But when you have sometimes these moments where you come across, some of our own people having these talking points where it's just like, what the heck are you talking about? You just want to shake them and wake them up, that's what hurts the most. But it's just like, I guess we have our on days and we have our off days. This was a on day and I liked listening to this. So let's go ahead and listen to the rest he got to say. Child, he's going to say it loud and proud. This man is so loud, but I'm loud too, so I can't even argue about it. But let's continue with this, y'all, and then we'll move into Roland Martin and Colin Allred, and that'll be our final video for this live. So thank y'all so much for hanging with me this long. And let me just shut up. Let's go.
How about the Employment Commission investigating Nike for discrimination against white workers? Why don't you focus on something like that? Why don't you look at something like that and say, wait a minute. You're talking about white folks that were at a disadvantage. You're talking about white folks that may have been mistreated and targeting Nike, who's made billions off of the backs of Black people. You're saying somehow, some way, their willingness to do anything remotely favorable to Black people is a problem? It's just the latest thing to decry DEI and its existence while ignoring the reality that the biggest beneficiaries of DEI were not Black people. They were white women. Similar to what went on with affirmative action. But we don't touch on that enough. We're not paying enough attention to that. He's engaging in hyperbole. He's doing what he always does. He's saying what he needs to say. If you're the Democrats, you can't fall prey to it. You can't fall prey to his verbiage and try to mimic him and do what he does because there's only one Donald Trump.
You're cooking up a spread, you can't forget the GOAT.
He is truly an individual that has proven he can look up at the sky, see blue skies, say it's orange, and nobody's going to hold it against him, even though they know he's lying. He has truly proven himself to be that person. Nobody in the Democratic Party has pulled that off. Nobody. Not only has nobody pulled it off, you don't have anyone who can pull it off. Folks on the left have to walk a little bit differently because what you're dealing with is the ultimate anomaly. A commander-in-chief of the greatest nation in the land, more preoccupied with an election he lost than the election he just won and the responsibilities that came along with him winning it. He is the president of the United States, fixated on showing you that he should have been the president from 20 to 2024. He's fixated on it. He won't stop. He won't stop in terms of going to places like Georgia and the voter registration booths. He won't stop when it comes to the vengeance tour, whether it's Letitia James, whether it's Jack Smith, whether it's James Comey, whether it's John Bolton, or even Don Lemon. He won't stop. It's almost like he has this, it's an extreme fetish or a fixation on, I told you so. I was right. You were wrong. Instead of moving on and moving forward, forgetting that breeds chaos. And because that breeds chaos, it's exactly what people in 2020 booted him out of office for. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, even though the left don't want to admit it, before COVID, the economy was doing all right. We didn't hear much about border issues. We certainly didn't hear about crime in the streets being as pervasive as it ultimately became with everything from the racial riots to COVID and everything else in between. We didn't hear about all of that before COVID. It was COVID that disrupted a lot of things. It was COVID that ultimately disrupted his presidency. Even when we didn't like how he politicized and hijacked the Colin Kaepernick narrative and politicized that. He would have won re-election if it wasn't for COVID. But COVID came and chaos reigned subsequently. And as a result, people in the streets of America looking at our state of affairs in this country said economic issues, border issues, security issues, we just got to get him out of there because it's too much chaos. That is what is on the verge of happening again. Unless, of course, the Democrats decide to engage in as much hyperbole as he does. Then there's no difference. So what does it matter? You get through the midterms, and then after that, Rubio or Vance runs against whatever Democrat you're going to put out there. Where's that going to get you? At this moment in time, the Democrats can't say they know. Even while the Republicans are scared to death that Trump is going to blow everything for them. And by the way, it's hard to believe it's an accident. It's hard to believe that he's oblivious to all of this. It's much easier to believe he doesn't care because he's in office, running the show, getting paid along the way, and oh, by the way, still making sure to periodically remind folks, it's not like I'm running in 2028, so he doesn't have anything to worry about. SAFE Act, voter registration, border issues, the list goes on and on. When somebody's imploding, get the hell out of their way. Hopefully, someone on the left will listen.
All right, y'all. So now in the interview, well, in this podcast, it's approaching the point of the interview where he sits down and has the conversation with Colin Allred. Would y'all rather hear Stephen A. Smith have the conversation with Colin Allred, or would you rather hear Roland Martin do it? And then also, not only is he having a conversation with Colin Allred, he's also having a conversation with Bill Maher too. He's got both of them too that are coming to the platform for an interview. So do y'all want to stay right here where we're at and listen to Stephen A. Smith do the interview with Colin and Bill Maher? Or do you want to just move right along to the next video that I had planned where Colin has the conversation with Roland Martin? Y'all let me know. While y'all think about it, let's take a quick song break because I know we got to wrap this up soon. I'm going over my 2-hour mark. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to take a quick song break, y'all. And then y'all think about it and let me know which one do y'all want to listen to. And then we'll be right back, okay?
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let it ring out loud. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea, like the mighty waters. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. We remember it all. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Hope is alive, yeah. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on. Let's keep marching till victory is won. Stony the road we trod. Bitter the casting need right. But we're still here.
All right, y'all. So we back from that song break. Thank you for rocking with me for that. Let's go ahead now, and I see y'all vote on. Let's just keep it with Stephen, because Stephen A. Smith also has the same conversation, basically, with Auret. And so I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it, since we already got Stephen up anyway, and he's about to segue into that part of the podcast. But of course, we'll do audio only for that, y'all. So let me go ahead and get everything set up just right. Give me just a second, y'all, and we'll listen to that interview. It's a really good interview. And again, he also has Bill Mayer on there with him as well. So we get to hear two different portions of conversation. Like I said, I watched this and I was like, yo, this is a really, really good episode. I really enjoyed it. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. He's about to segue into it and bring in Auret, okay? So let me get that.
Accomplishing a lot of good things. From a rep out of Texas, obviously ran for the Senate seat before. Wasn't successful at that venture, but he's obviously undoubtedly would do big things in the future. But right now, he's embroiled in some noise, to say the least. He was former representative out of Texas, the one and only Colin Allred, right here on Straight Shooter with yours truly. What's up? What's up, sir? How are you? How's everything going, Colin?
Hey, Stephen A. You know, I know you're at the Super Bowl, so I'm jealous of you.
Well, are you jealous? Because I got news for you. I'm hoping it's not going to be a blowout. I'm hoping it's going to be competitive. You know, I mean, if it's a blowout, we all here for nothing. I'm telling you that right now.
That's true.
We're all here for nothing. But listen, I want to get to you. I want to get to you because I want to talk about this just to enlighten the audience here. It's supposedly a viral TikTok video. There was a claim on it about a private conversation. You said it's that disqualifies James Tallarico, the Democratic representative running for the U.S. Senate. He's saying it was a mischaracterization and denies the framing that he was accused of making. I want you to remind the audience of what you believe was said and why you took such umbrage with what reportedly came out of his mouth. Just take it away in your own words.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen A. Well, listen, I take no pleasure in this. Okay, this is not the kind of stuff I spend my time on. I'm a serious person, and I don't mind being criticized. But what was said here, and as reported by this young woman who was his supporter, who endorsed him when he was running against me, who believed in him, but was shocked to hear him say that he was planning on running against a mediocre black man, meaning me, not a talented and intelligent black woman, meaning Jasmine Crockett, right? And that was the framing that upset her and that was shocking to her, because criticizing me or my campaign would not have been shocking to her, but criticizing me on racial grounds was. And I think, to me, that's the kind of thing that has to be called out. I've always said that in politics, I'm not going to, withhold, my opinions on things like this, but I have a few rules, and my rules are pretty simple, which is that I don't respond to criticism. I don't respond to people who have an opinion about me. That's fine. It comes with the territory. But if you cross over into doing something that I think is inappropriate or that can demean a larger group or even impact young people watching and thinking that, hey, maybe running for office is not for me. If he's not qualified, what can I do? Then that's what gets me heated.
Did you see or hear him say it directly, or are you simply going by what she reported he said?
Yeah, this is based on what she said, but also based on contemporaneous reports that she made to other folks at the time that it happened. And I think also, let's be clear, he's not said that he did not say it. He's just saying that what he said was intended to be about my campaign. Right. And I think this is a very clear thing. If I had not said something and somebody said I did, I would just come out and say directly, those words did not come out of my mouth. That is not their position. The position is, oh, no, it was about the campaign. And that to me is not persuasive, in part because she would not have been upset about that because she was a supporter of his. It was the formulation of making it about race, and also the idea that you might feel so comfortable in a setting like that you would just say something that maybe you wouldn't say normally. And I think that is also part of this, which is that, we need to have leaders, particularly in a state like Texas, that's incredibly diverse, who their public-private persona is that they understand, they have sympathy, but also empathy with and understanding of all the groups that are part of the Democratic coalition that make sure that we can have representatives that will serve all of our communities.
To be fair to Representative James Tallarico, he called the allegation, quote, a mischaracterization of a private conversation, acknowledging he described you and your method. He said method of campaigning as mediocre, but not your life and your service. That's not believable to you. Is that what you're saying?
I think that she would not have been surprised or upset by a criticism of my campaign, as I said. I think that she was a supporter of his who had endorsed him and was happy to speak to him and thought the conversation was going well until it took a left turn, which is that he used a formulation that was offensive to her. So offensive that even though she's no friend of mine in terms of, politically, she decided that she had to say something. And I think when I see that and I saw how disturbed she was by it, I understood that something would happen that would make her feel that way. And I understand that because I've, been young, talked to people who you respect, and then something is said that is so out of balance that you feel like, wait a second, this is, I feel, wrong. Something is wrong has occurred. And I think that's what this is based on. But also just the idea that, there's still not, as I said, been a denial and there's still been no explanation or, what the actual formulation was. And to me, if somebody said that I said something I didn't say, I would just say I didn't say it.
Well, let me read to you a more extensive quote that he gave about this. So just so we're clear that he did comment about it, albeit not to you, and you are absolutely right. He didn't emphatically deny the specificity of what he's being accused of, but he did say this, quote, "I would never attack him," meaning you, "on the basis of race. As a black man in America, Congressman Allred has had to work twice as hard to get where he is. I understand how my critique of the congressman's campaign could be interpreted given this country's painful legacy of racism, and I care deeply about the impact my words have on others. Despite our disagreements, I deeply respect Congressman Allred. We're all on the same team." What do you take from the wording that I just read to you, his exact words, his statement that he gave?
I think it's a written statement put out many hours later to try and shape conversations like this. Listen, James has my phone number. He can call me and tell me anytime what actually was said. He's not done that. But also, that's not what would have shocked this young woman. And let's be very clear about that as well. You know, what was shocking to her, what made her feel like her whole kind of world had been rocked, was that it was done in an offensive way. And I believe her. And I believe her because she's been the gain for it, but also because I think I understand what it is to be a young person who talking to someone like who you respect and then have something occur that makes you kind of question many other things and feel like something wrong has occurred.
You also went on, you basically slammed him, at least according to reports, that's the word they use, for appearing to cloak his alleged remark beneath a compliment of Representative Jasmine Crockett, saying, quote, "We're tired of folks using praise for black women to mask criticism for black men. That's not good for our community."
All right, so we're going to let him elaborate in just a minute, but I just wanted to read a few things for y'all real quick and then just give my little 2 cents because this is an excellent conversation. This is an excellent conversation to be held, in my personal opinion, because of the importance and the severity of the actual situation. This happens more times than not, and not just in politics, right? This happens almost in every workplace or space that you go. So let me break down for y'all real quick exactly what all of this is about, where it started, and what exactly is going on if you have not watched or seen it, okay? So all of this drama started on Sunday, February 1st, 2026, when Dallas-based political content creator named Morgan Thompson posted a viral video. She recounted a private meeting she had with State Representative James Tallarico back in January. Here are the allegations. Thompson claimed that Tallarico told her he had originally signed up to run against a mediocre black man, referring to Colin Allred. This is the one that I showed y'all a brief, image of, and then I had to put the overlay back up. But if y'all type it in and go, search and research, you'll see what he looks like. But now he was facing a formidable and intelligent black woman, referring to Jasmine Crockett, right? So there's this statement of the black man is mediocre and the black woman is formidable and intelligent. Okay, so there was a big blow up about this. And so on Monday, Colin Allred didn't just respond. He scorched the earth. He posted a video to social media where he was literally steaming from a workout, saying the stream was coming out of his ears too. Allred blasted Tallarico for having the temerity and audacity to use a black woman as a shield to insult a black man. What they say the play is, "This is the line the audience will recognize," Allred said. "We've seen that play before, using praise for black women to mask criticism for black women. For black men." He essentially called Tallarico out for trying to divide the community. In a massive move, Allred officially dropped his neutrality and told everyone, "Go vote for Jasmine Crockett." Now, the defense, Tallarico's campaign excuse. Tallarico, who is a Caucasian person, quickly issued a statement trying to clean up the mess. He claimed his words were mischaracterized, and he argued that he was calling Alred's life. He wasn't calling Alred's life or him as a person mediocre, but rather his method of campaigning during the 2024 run against Ted Cruz. He tried to pivot by saying Alred has had to work twice as hard as a Black man in America, but for many, the damage was already done. He already had made the statement, and people already made up their mind how they felt about it. Here is how Jasmine Crockett fits in. Jasmine Crockett is the formidable woman that he mentioned in the original comment, and she did not stay quiet on this situation. She showed up to support. Crockett immediately praised Alred for standing up, saying, "We must all stand, especially when we feel uncomfortable, to say what is right." While Tallarico tried to use Crockett's excellence to justify his comment, Crockett refused to let him use her as a token to bash Alred. She aligned herself with Alred, creating a united front of Black leadership against Tallarico's framing. This is about who gets to define Black excellence. Alred is a former NFL player and a civil rights lawyer. Calling him mediocre is a high-level insult. Now, here are the tactics to use. Tallarico was trying to compliment trap Jasmine Crockett. He thought by calling her smart, he could get away with calling Alred average. This has completely fractured the Texas primary just 1 month before the election. It has turned a policy debate into a deep conversation about racial tropes and respect. So this is what I'm saying, y'all. This is what we're dealing with, okay? When, these type of things happen and we have serious things that really are at the forefront. We're talking about the elections are coming around, right? And it is about who is the best fit for the job. That's it, period. There should not be arguments around race. There should not be any, tensions between, is the Black woman more smart or is the Black man more smart? Is the Black woman more capable or is the Black man more capable? We know that historically, that has always been something that has been used to keep a divide within our community and also cause friction between Black men and Black women, because we understand that Black men and Black women, both in their own way, a lot of times are undervalued when it comes to not just their intellect and their professionalism, but just their existence, period. And we know that that is something that is very heartfelt when it comes to Black women and Black men. And so to try to throw that monkey wrench in the middle of the section when both of these people are representing Texas, they both are representing the same state, then it's just you're causing confusion, and distraction that doesn't need to be caused. But this is what they do. This is what they do. This is what they've been doing, and this is what they continue to do. In my personal opinion, this is just the personal opinion from Golden, from what I see. There's always people and things that happen that try to pin a Black woman and a Black man against each other. A lot of the time. We just got to be real about that, okay? And so now here in this political space where we're seeing this, this seems like this is what the motive was to do. But because we have two individuals standing on both sides, a Black man and a Black woman, that know that this is the history, this is what they do, this is what happens, and they refuse to be pulled into it or dragged into it and allow it to prevail, they spoke up against it in the proper way and decided, instead of going against each other or getting in their feelings and emotions, that they were going to have each other's back regardless. Even if they don't care for, each other and how, they run their political scene or sector or whatnot, and maybe have not gotten along the best in the past. When it comes to these type of things, we still have to see that at the core, it's best to stick together despite your differences, your fallouts, and so on and so forth. And that's what they displayed. they displayed that despite the fact that we may not agree with each other or get along with each other, we're still going to stick by each other when it comes to this, because we see exactly what you're trying to do to try and bring this type of divide. That's what I get from it. I don't know what y'all get from it, but you know, it's like they basically said, same old tricks, same old tricks. And so let's just continue here, because I got to end this soon, y'all. We're going way over, but let's continue with some more of the conversation.
Elaborate on that statement that you made right there.
Well, I just think, listen, if you want to praise a Black woman, just do that. And you can do that and leave it at that. You don't have to then throw it in that that's a way to then, mask or cover up that you're going to throw in a criticism on the back end. And I've seen that in our politics before, where there's a praise for the role that Black women have played in our politics, and it's sometimes with a either coded or direct diss to Black men, saying that we're not doing as much. But also, just think this is not the kind of, we don't need to be divided up that way. Don't pit people against each other. Don't say to a young Black woman, supporter of yours, I like this Black woman and this Black man is mediocre. That kind of division and dividing us up is not something that I think serves anybody. And it's a playbook that I have seen, and I think we all have seen.
Let's get into a broader conversation about the state of Texas and the Senate seat, the Senate seat that's being pursued. First things first, you once ran, you ran for it. You were in a very, very competitive race before you lost a couple of years ago. Are you a supporter? Remind our audience, are you a supporter of Representative Jasmine Crockett in this race against Tellerico for the Democratic seat for the Senate?
Right. So listen, my intention was to stay out of this race. I did not have any intention of getting involved. I have my own personal opinions on various things, but I wasn't going to say anything publicly. But I've known Jasmine for a long time, and I am supporting her now in this race because I think that there are certain things that to me that are disqualifying, and this is a conversation that is.
But were you supporting her before this happened?
No, I was not. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You were supporting? You got me. You piqued my interest. Who were you supporting?
Yeah, I was going to stay out of it. I was not going to weigh in. And when we say support, I mean, publicly say something, try to indicate something. No, so I wasn't.
I'm talking endorsement. I'm talking endorsement support, that public support. You were going to stay out of it. You were not going to endorse her over Tellerico or anything like that. You were just going to stay completely out of it until this happened.
Yeah, I think as the previous nominee, my intention was not to weigh in, and to let the process play out. But obviously, there's things that change that sometimes.
So now that you've decided to basically throw your support behind Jasmine Crockett, I want to know, because it would appear to be very, very good for Jasmine Crockett. How good is it for the state of the Democratic Party in pursuit of this Senate Texas seat for all of this to be happening in your estimation? Because one would imagine that in some people's eyes it's absolutely fine. In other people's eyes, particularly in the state of Texas, where the subject of race is being broached, it's a red state, et cetera, that some people would say that's not the way to go. What is your response to that?
And my response is that, listen, I didn't start this. And if there's somebody said something like this, I feel like there needs to be a response, both on my behalf, but also just on the broader behalf of not showing disrespect to Black candidates, to how important Black voters are in our state. And that needs to be paramount. And also it's a consideration in who's going to be nominated in the state with the most Black people in the entire country. And that's a consideration that should be known. And I think that's an important part of it. But I also think that people have been underestimating both Jasmine Crockett, but also just that this process is going to play out, according to what the people of Texas want, not folks outside of our state.
I've watched Jasmine Crockett. I think it was her and James Tellerico. Did you see that debate at all? Did you watch?
I saw some of it. Yeah, not all of it. Yeah.
I saw some of it, right? And I watched her, and she gave off the impression, I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting Donald Trump. Whereas he came across as trying to give off the impression, we're all in this together. We are going to fight Trump, et cetera, et cetera. Was that an appropriate interpretation to grasp in your estimation based off of what we saw during the debate?
Well, listen, I think Jasmine is well known for that. But also I think that as I've gone around Texas and I'll go to meet people where they are, whether it's at a high school football game or a lowrider kickback or at the work site, they'll tell me they appreciate me, they know me, and they're glad to see me there, and they'll tell me that they appreciate Jasmine. She has an appeal, particularly among people who have not been politically engaged, that I think shouldn't be dismissed. And listen, it's not my, as you know, Stephen A., like we have very different ways of approaching, running for office, and also, kind of how we go about some of these things. That doesn't mean I think it shouldn't be considered to have its own strengths as well as weaknesses. And so to me, what many people are looking for right now is somebody who would fight for them, somebody who understands the danger of this moment that we're in, that our communities are being terrorized in many cases, that many folks feel like they're not able to get ahead no matter how hard they work, that the system is an indefensible status quo that we can't continue with. That's what I hear everywhere I go.
You're now running for the Texas newly joined 33rd Congressional District, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It's currently held by Representative Julie Johnson, who has endorsed Tellerico, while Crockett has endorsed you. In light of all of this and what I just said in terms of Representative Crockett endorsing you, Representative Julie Johnson endorsing Tellerico, how do you think this whole incident right now will affect all of that?
Well, yes, and again, unfortunately, the timing is the timing, and I think when I hear something like this is going on, I feel like I need to respond to it, particularly when I think, as I said, it's got a broader application to many people who I think need to be defended, but also some lines to be drawn in the sand that don't cross these lines that's inappropriate. But I think in terms of this congressional race, listen, I know Dallas, and Dallas knows me well. This is a newly drawn district. It was, gerrymandered as part of this last round of gerrymandering that was done here in Texas. So this will be the first time that these district lines have even existed in an election. And so it's an area that I know well. And so I want to make sure, of course, that I'll respond when I feel like I need to things that are out there. But my focus is always on serving the folks that I'm hoping to serve and have served in the past.
Let's talk about Representative Crockett in this regard for a second. The most recent public polling from mid-January put her and Tellerico in a dead heat ahead of the March 3 primary. While Tellerico's support has largely come from white and Latino voters, he's drawn meager support from the Black community, Black Democratic voters. In a recent survey, 75% of Black folks, Black likely primary voters, said they supported Crockett. What does she need to do to win the primary in your estimation? And how do you plan on assisting her moving forward, if at all?
Well, I think she needs to do what I encourage everyone to do, which is to tell your story, tell it in a way that includes everyone, brings everyone along, and tell them why you're fighting, right? Not just that you are fighting. I think that's very true and it's very apparent. But why? What gets you up in the morning? What are you passionate about? Why does this matter to you? And why is this fight one that you want to take into the United States Senate? And I think that's what a lot of people want to hear. And I think there's so many folks out there who are wondering, does anybody see me? Does anybody know what's going on in my life? I feel like I'm doing everything right. I see all these folks on TV who are openly corrupt, who are doing well. I can't get ahead. This is obviously not working. And I think what we've seen is that in election after election in Texas, we're not just running against Republicans. We're running against the feeling that nothing can change. And in some cases, in some communities, and I did this as a voting rights lawyer, you go in and you're also dealing with a sense of despair. And the idea that, well, why should I jump through all these hoops to try and vote in this state that makes it tough to vote when nothing's going to change for me? And I think that feeling is one that we have to combat. That cynicism is one that we can try and make sure that we speak to. That's what I certainly try and do, and will be doing in my.
All right, y'all. So we're about to hit the 3-hour mark. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. If you guys want to watch the rest of that conversation, which is really pretty interesting to listen to, pretty good, you can. I will leave the links in my description box if y'all want to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and end us out with a bop per usual. And I will see y'all on the next live. Thank you so much for spending so much time with me here today with some of these topics. And if y'all want to drop down in the comment section and let me know how y'all feel, please do. Please like the video if you liked it. Please share the channel if you want to. And subscribe. It really helps. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I will talk to y'all on the next live. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of the day, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night where you are. I hope it is great for you. Golden signing out. Bye.
Oh, say, can you see? Look up, child. By the dawn's early light. It's a new day. What so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming. Hold your head. Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Through the perilous fight. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare. The bombs bursting in air. We won't back down. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, it's still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Wait for justice.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let it ring out loud. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Like the mighty waters. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. We remember it all. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Hope